With details on last night's Raw with Triple H and Control of Creative and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 26th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking about the difference between the main roster and NXT, Intercontinental Champion Gunther told out of character. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to what happens in the ring, wrestling is wrestling. For me at least, it doesn't matter if it's in front of 50 people or if it's in front of 20,000. Obviously the major difference is all the happenings around it. There are way more people involved in the main roster. A lot more stuff has to happen in a shorter amount of time. It's not too different, but it's obviously just NXT is a little bit more strict and organized, because the people involved are less experienced, I will say, like the talent and stuff. While it's a little bit more relaxed, I would call it on SmackDown in my experience. Everybody's way more experienced and can get all the stuff done, like tick, 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 one after the other. Everything has its little routine. It's a little different, it's a little bit more relaxed in terms of nobody's really tensed or freaked out about what they have to do. As Vince McMahon announced his retirement from WWE last Friday, Becky Lynch told Adam Zappa on YouTube about a time she advised McMahon to take time off. Probably I sat down with him and asked, "Hey Vince, you ever take any time off?" He's like, "Well, one time I took a holiday, and I was lying on the beach. I couldn't relax. Then I came back and I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a big event. It's going to be like the Super Bowl, and we're going to call it WrestleMania." I was like, "Well Vince, I think you should take more holidays." Following his win of the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 23, Mr. Kennedy, or Ken Anderson, was supposed to cash in his contract at the following Mania, as he revealed the original plans on Insight with Chris Van Vliet. I only had it a month and a half, 2 months maybe, and they came to me. I was riding with Matt Hardy. We'd left the building early, which was unlike us. We usually stayed until the very end. For whatever reason, we left early, and I got a call from Michael Hayes. He says, "Where are you guys? I need you to come back. Vince needs to talk to you in his office." I remember Batista coming out of Vince's office, and we passed each other in the hall and just came up to me and gave me a big hug, and he's like, "You deserve it, bro." And I played stupid. "What do you mean? What do you mean?" With Undertaker tearing his bicep, Vince McMahon needed a new champion. He laid out the scenario basically, and he's like, "You're going to cash in your briefcase. We're going to have a new champion." And I remember him telling me that they were high on Batista at the time. That was their guy. They felt like Batista needed to chase for a while, and they said, "When we feel the time is right, we're going to put it on Batista." But we don't know how long that could be. It could be like a month or 5 months or 6 months or whatever. I remember I just said, "Look, I appreciate you guys saying that, but this is business and I'll do what's necessary." Anderson felt his tricep pop when taking a clothesline at a house show the following night. This would lead to Edge beating him in a match for the briefcase before cashing in on Taker the next night. I remember Hornswoggle drove me to the emergency room. He got a call from Stephanie saying that he tore his triceps off the bone and they were going to have to change plans once more. "We're going to take you to Penn State. Edge is going to challenge you for the briefcase, and then he's going to go on to do what you're supposed to do tomorrow night." Okay, and I remember thinking at the time, I've got a year to cash this thing in. Isn't there some other way you can get it off him? But I didn't say it. I sort of regret not saying it now. I gave up the briefcase. The next day, I flew to Dr. Andrews' table, and he's feeling my triceps, and he's like, "That's not a tear." Appearing at KNS WrestleFest, Brian Cage, who has not wrestled on AEW TV since October, talked about how his wife, Melissa Santos' comments on Cage being underutilized caused issues with his booking in the company. As Cage said, "I've retweeted in favor of plenty of things that fans have said about me. I mean, why would I not? They were supporting me. So regardless if someone agrees or not, it's someone's opinion and it's positive for me. Why would I be against that? The fact that it's my wife, she's obviously going to have a biased opinion. It's not really for what she said. It's about certain people backstage in AEW who don't like me there that pointed that out and brought that heat to me intentionally. So it wouldn't have been a big deal, but certain individuals there made it a big deal, and that's what they hung their hat on. There's more to it, but I'm not going to say that. These certain individuals know who they are. I don't really have heat with them. I show up, go to the gym, eat, have the best match possible, and go home. I don't hang out, drink, or party. I'm a pretty simple and easygoing guy, and some people are upset because they don't look like me or can't move as well as me with the way I look. That's on them. If you want to call it professional jealousy, that's what it is. Cage would then reference another star's wife calling out AEW, possibly referring to Matt Hardy's wife Rebby, who called out the company when Matt suffered an injury during a street fight. As he continued, without naming names, we can maybe put it together. There is another big superstar's wife that has heavily criticized things at the company, and there are no repercussions for them. Melissa didn't say anything negative. All she said was Brian Cage has been underutilized. She didn't say anything really bad. Even what she originally tweeted was a write-up about me from a writer or journalist. She just retweeted that and I retweeted what she retweeted. The write-up was nothing negative about AEW or the booking. Basically, I'm a big Brian Cage fan. I hope he gets used better. That's all it was. When asked how he can dig himself out of this hole, he responded, "There's not a whole lot I can do. I've done what I can do. Until I get another opportunity. The thing that sucks is I haven't had the opportunity to do anything since then. They have me there for a reason, and I'm still there. But if I'm not able to showcase anything, I'm not able to climb myself out of the hole. Until I get that opportunity, I'm just gonna sit around and wait." With him being presented an AEW contract in February, rising star Nick Wayne had some issues while traveling, as Brian Alvarez revealed on Wrestling Observer Radio. Are you aware that Nick Wayne and his mother were on a flight back to Seattle yesterday and they were diverted to Iceland as a result of a bomb threat? Somebody apparently went into the bathroom and wrote either bomb or explosion on the mirror of the bathroom, and they turned around, they landed in Iceland, they took everybody off the plane, they herded them in some secure area. And since the threat was made clearly by a passenger, since that had been written on the mirror, they're basically, I don't know if they have or are going to have to interrogate every single person on the plane. They're searching everybody. I guess they've searched the entire plane and everything like that, and apparently his mother was interrogated for quite a while, because she had like an eyeliner or something of that nature, and obviously it had been scrawled in eyeliner or makeup on the bathroom mirror. So she was in a panic, and they're still in Iceland as of 15 minutes ago, and they've got no information on when they can go home, how they're going to go home, what's next. All in the dark. Essentially, everybody on the flight is being treated, I guess, as if they're guilty, and it's a pretty harrowing situation. Speaking about the FTW title open challenge of Ricky Starks, Jim Cornette called out AEW for treating the belt like a legitimate championship. And the announcers, as this thing started, were trying to talk. I know Taz was there, so he should be, but the announcers were legitimately, including JR, were trying to talk the FTW title up as a real belt, which is the polar opposite of what it actually is. They made their own belt. That's a classic heel move. I seem to remember that Taz did that because somebody else held the ECW title, and there had been some dispute over a match, and Taz declared himself the World Champion. Tony Khan being a mark for 90s wrestling, so let's bring the FTW title back. Use it for business. The way he uses it, it's not real. The heel is out there crowing that he is the FTW champion, because whatever issue he had with the company, they won't give him a title match. Or his title match ended in confusion because the referee made the wrong mistake, then he defends it on his own because the company does not sanction it. Speaking about Vince McMahon's retirement from WWE, former writer for the company Vince Russo spoke on his podcast about this, saying, "I worked with Vince. I know Vince. Guys, if you really think Vince McMahon is retired, you're clueless. What do you think Vince McMahon is doing? Reading a book? Going for a stroll on the beach? Like hanging out at a pool in Connecticut? Retirement basically meant I could not show my face up at TV, at the office anymore. But if you think everything is still not getting run by him, and he is not calling the shots, then you don't know Vince McMahon." With Triple H being named the new head of creative ahead of last night's Raw, Dave Meltzer discussed the increased enthusiasm for the show, saying, "I expect a very big rating. But the interest in this show in New York was gigantic. they sold out. They sold out yesterday. They were on track to either sell out or come very close to it. I think they were on track to do about 12,000 people, and I think there was probably about 14. Definitely very good. Just like Boston on Friday. Very good last few days, which is again another sign that they've got a lot of momentum, but the secondary market, just like the demand for tickets. I think that secondary market was like $139 for the worst seats in the house, and way over, and it wasn't like, I've been tracking the secondary market tickets for this Garden show, and it was normal. You know, it was just like any other show. It was a little bit higher. It was higher than the prices because they were sold out, but it wasn't like there was any great demand or anything like that. The demand came in the last day or two. It was the whole thing of like, I think the people thought this was going to be this historic show, the first show without Vince, and they probably would do all of these incredible things, and really it was, you know, the Rey Mysterio stuff was different from usual, but there was really no great angle past, you know, a match to set up a no DQ match on SummerSlam with Rey and Dominic against Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley returned. But aside from that angle, and Roman Reigns appeared, no Ronda Rousey, interestingly enough, aside from that, it was just, I would call it a normal Raw. Meltzer would further note that this Raw was not the show to be looking for big changes under new management, pointing out that this show was largely written before Vince left. It was written a lot on Thursday. Nobody ripped up anything. There are a few minor changes is what I was told. Essentially, this was the show that had been approved. So they're not making any big changes or anything like that just yet, and of course, they're going to SummerSlam with the ideas in mind. Ringside News would confirm this writing. Triple H's first day in control of WWE creative was for Raw in MSG. You can't get much bigger than that. We're told that there was a lot of tweaking on the show, but not a lot of changes for Monday's Raw broadcast, but they were all considered positive changes. It would also be reported that Triple H taking control of WWE's creative direction came at a very interesting time. They have a huge show this Saturday, and we were told that SummerSlam was locked, but there are a few changes happening. Speaking of WWE creative, a new report has come out detailing issues surrounding Vince McMahon's behavior during shows and meetings. Fightful has heard from many within the creative process who said that many of the creative writers' assistants effectively needed to filter Vince themselves in ways. Specifically, we were told that the assistants often had to know what to not write for Vince McMahon when taking notes for him. We've also heard that the minutes are heavily edited. We're told that this is largely the case for a long time. It ranged from Vince saying things that would appear insensitive or offensive to, oh god, what did he just say moments, all the way to simple kayfabe things as well. Some of the stories included McMahon constantly calling people the wrong names or using terms that weren't socially acceptable, and that even he himself would have never allowed on television. Another former production employee said if a live feed of Vince McMahon on a headset any given night ever made it out, that it would provide a picture of that production experience, especially for the announcers. There were plenty of times he was in a good mood, but he would blow up at the most ridiculous things and act like they ruined an angle that was far past its expiration date anyway. It was even noted that memory had been an issue for McMahon. When asking those working in and near creative what they expected to change the most with Triple H in control, and one specifically said, recall of what we have and haven't done repeatedly. There were so many things that Vince insisted on doing that I'm pretty sure he didn't remember doing over and over again, even when people would tell him. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.